This San Jose prospect news is insane as Sam Dickinson continues to dominate the OHL. Quentin Musty wins Sharks Prospect of the Week, and Mike Grier continuously adds top prospects to the San Jose Sharks, making their future bright. We're going to break all this down later on this episode. Before we start, I just want to say if you're a San Jose Sharks fan and you want to keep up to date on everything to do with the Sharks, because they don't have enough coverage, make sure to go down and hit that subscribe button. We'll be here all season long giving you updates from around the team. But Josh, let's just hop straight into the first topic today, which is the fact that Quentin Musty has been dominating since returning from a hand injury, and he actually wins Sharks Prospect of the Week. This came back from a game where he had 2 goals, 3 assists in last Sunday's game. Looking at Musty, what's your initial thoughts on how well he's been playing since returning from his hand injury?
I mean, I've been impressed. Like, look, we all know that Quentin Musty has some incredible skill, and he did have that injury. He broke his hand. He missed the World Juniors because of it, and there has been a lot of controversy around him and the Sudbury Wolves. Some people thinking the Wolves are kind of holding them for ransom, but there was talks about maybe sending him to Europe. We knew he couldn't play in the AHL. There was a bunch of stuff going on, but at the end of the day, seems like we found a decent solution. And right now, so far with the Sudbury Wolves, I mean, he's on better point pace than last year, and we thought last year was incredible. 102 points in 53 games last year. But Mark, he's off to an incredible start again this year with 10 goals in 12 games, 25 points in 12 games, fresh off a 5-point night. I mean, the thing with Musty is like, when you look at how good he is, he's 6'2", 200 pounds. I mean, he should be doing good in the OHL. But the fact that like his vision, his passing, and even his shooting has been so good for a guy his size, that's maybe the most impressive thing to me. And again, you look at his scouting report from Elite Prospects. This was from the draft guide originally. But like his shot we know is good, but it's his vision and his ability to leverage every part of his body that has set him apart. And he's doing that, like honestly, it's a masterclass in that in the OHL right now. So honestly, I'm not surprised his production is as good as it is, but I'm sort of surprised he got back to the level he was at last year so fast after this injury and after the controversial situation in Sudbury.
And I mean, that's the biggest thing. Like you said, every part of his game has been getting better. 12 games, almost a goal per game. He put up 5 points, which does kind of inflate the stats in that last Sunday's game. But putting up 25 points in his first 12 games after having 102 points. We kind of talked about it before recording, 43 goals and goal scoring not being a part of his top just draft combine, but going through, like you said, a 6'2" frame. He can move the puck. He has top-notch vision. This is leading into just as the Sharks having another amazing prospect coming up, maybe next season to join the team, or at least the Barracudas at the very least. But looking at this team, it's not just Musty, and I know we're going to talk about Sam Dickinson because I know everyone wants to hear about him. But looking at this team, there's so many prospects. Now, this was put out going into the season. I believe it was put out just at the end of August. But the San Jose Sharks prospect pool, obviously Celebrini, Ashcroft are both on this team. Will Smith, you can work your name down. But this team has such deep potential with all these players, even if only half of them, and we've already seen 3 to 4 of them in the NHL. Looking at this, Josh, do you honestly think, and because I truly do, the Sharks have the deepest pool of prospects in the entire NHL?
Yeah, and I don't think it's close. I mean, look, there's a lot of teams with really good prospect pools. There's no doubt about that. And I mean, the definition of prospect as well kind of varies from team to team depending on how much you play in the NHL, right? Is a guy who's 20 but has played like a full season in the NHL, is that still a prospect? Some would say yes, some would say no. Like you got Eklund on this list, right? But he's pretty much established at this point. But yeah, like I think so in terms of prospects plus young players, the Sharks are maybe in the best spot moving forward. Now, again, they have some bad contracts on the back end, but by the time they're ready to compete, like I'm not too worried, right? They just ended the Red Wings big win streak at 7 games. They're able to compete with some of the best teams in the league when, I'm not saying Detroit necessarily is, but the Sharks, when they're on, they can do that, right? It's just the thing is they're inconsistent right now, as a lot of young teams are, but you have the insane talent, the top end talent, a future superstar. I mean, he's borderline already a superstar. Macklin Celebrini. Yaroslav Askarov so far this season, his numbers have been insanely impressive. He's played the same amount of games as Alexander Georgiev, and well, look, the numbers speak for themselves. Then you go down the list, yeah, Will Smith is struggling. I mean, you could say in his first NHL season, but he doesn't look out of place, and he had such good college numbers. He's going to be amazing going forward. Like, I know we'll get into Dickinson in a second, but to me, there's no question. Like, this team, in terms of, I'd say in terms of like high-end roster talent, these guys are right up there. Because, I mean, you look at the roster now, even a guy like Colin Graff, right? Undrafted guy, sign him out of college. He's playing some first-line time right now. You got Macklin Celebrini there on that second line. You got Fabian Zetterlund up there as 25 on the first line. Will Smith on the third, right? Even, like, there's so many guys that are kind of young. So all's that to say, yeah, I think the Sharks are extremely well set up for the future. And a lot of these guys are going to be hitting their stride right at the same time. And the top six potential for all of their guys, I think tops any group of players in the entire NHL.
And I mean, looking at Sam Dickinson himself, he has been dominating, and dominating is probably not even a good enough term for how well he's been playing in the OHL. This was someone that joined the World Juniors before joining and after 28 games, 49 points, 16 goals, 33 assists. He is a defenseman, left-handed, drafted 11th overall, looking like an absolute steal, only 18 years old. But when you dive into his stats, he is currently sitting out of all defensemen number 3, and he has almost 20 less games than number 1 and 2. Before we get into overall and not just defenseman, Josh, what's your overall assessment of someone like Sam Dickinson?
I mean, I thought he should have gone higher, right? Like picks 11 and 12 in this draft being Sam Dickinson and Zeb Boyum are looking like absolute steals for San Jose and Minnesota right now. Like, look, there was talks of Dickinson going maybe in the top 5, if not maybe top 6 or 7. And as he kept sliding, I just kept being surprised because this is a guy, he's a big guy, big frame, 6'2". He could even be taller than that when he comes to the NHL, honestly. I'm convinced he'll be listed at 6'3". Anyway, is what it is. 210 pounds. The dude has an incredibly solid defensive game. He makes people scared to go at him. But he also has an incredible shot, such a hard shot, and it's quite accurate too. I mean, you're seeing this. He had 18 goals in 68 games last year. He has 16 goals in 28 games this year. You extrapolate that to the same amount of games as last year, that's somewhere around a 35 goal pace over 68 games, which is just nuts. Now, he's not going to hit 68 games this year because, he missed some time, but still, again, 49 points. The goals are the craziest thing to me because we knew he had a good shot mark, but like combining his incredible offensive prowess and goal scoring with the fact that he's able to shut down a lot of other teams' best players is what makes this guy one of the most promising defensive prospects in the entire league.
And I mean, looking at it, as we said, when you're looking at total points from defensemen, he sits number 3. But when you look at the missed games and you look at points per game, he is at number 8 as a defenseman. If you look at everyone above him from 7 to 1 or anyone below him, they are all forwards. He sits number 8 as the lone defenseman, putting up 1.75 points per game, which is just insane numbers from a defenseman at a young age. He is looking like a future star. He's looking like the franchise defenseman for the Sharks team. Truly, he might be a franchise defenseman for almost any team that he went to. This is the guy that can not only defend the puck and put up points, but he's going to go out and be able to position himself to win games, which just makes the future better for the Sharks than anyone really anticipated. What would you guys' thoughts on this? What's your thoughts on both prospects dominating? What prospect are you most excited for? Do you think Mike Grier is going down as one of the best general managers in the league currently or in Sharks history? Let us know down in the comments. While you're down there, make sure to subscribe. We'll keep you up to date on everything to do with Sharks. Leave a like, leave a comment. We'll be back with another episode, so keep your eye out for that. But I've been your host, Mark Pye, with my co-host, Josh Gosse, and take care.